Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to a brand new video on my channel here today and some more league racing content on F1 2020. Today we are here for the Apex Online Racing League Round 3 at Vietnam, of course, on Top Split on PC. And guys, so far I want to say a massive thank you for the support on the first two episodes on Australia and Bahrain. Both of those videos did really well, and I'll leave them both linked in the top right hand corner, guys, of the screen if you want to go check those out, because you know I'm trying to build up this kind of part of my channel with the online league racing content, as I really enjoy it. You know, it challenges me to be as fast as I can possibly be, and it's a different level because compared to career mode, the AI can be quite predictable. So this is definitely a different kind of racing compared to constantly doing career mode all the time. So I appreciate all of you guys to support this content, and hopefully we can keep growing the channel and doing more of this kind of stuff moving forward. But guys, without further ado, let's get today's episode underway. Like if you're excited, subscribe for more league racing content on the channel, and let's get the Vietnam Grand Prix weekend underway. So first of all, jumping into the action this weekend, we move into qualifying. Now, this was a tricky one for me because so far in the first two races of the season, I've been using my own setups and I've been a little bit off the pace. So this weekend I tried something a little bit different, and I wanted to see if I could have some improved pace. Now, on our first qualifying run, we set a 133.3 and go P4, eventually pushed down to P5, and then we went on what was our best lap of the qualifying session. So let's have a little look for a lap here at Vietnam. So first of all, down towards turn 1, braking just after the 100-meter wall on the right hand side, down to second gear, pick up your apex, and then use a lot of the inside curb through 2 to open up then the exit, which feeds into turn 3. Important to clip the inside curb here, then flip the car left through 4, and then flat out through 5 to end the first sector, and already 2.5 tenths up on our previous best. We then make our way down towards the start of sector 2, a right-left chicane which feeds into a left hairpin. So important here to use a lot of the inside curbs. I could have done a bit more, to be fair. I was a bit cautious, but nonetheless we are still 4 tenths up on our previous best as we try to get a good exit out of the right-hander, and now onto this absolute mammoth of a back straight, absolutely flat out for a solid 15 seconds, I would say, at full throttle, opening up the DRS, and now it's all about waiting for your brake zone, and that's going to be as the curb appears on the right hand side, and you're going to go all the way down to first gear, pick up your apex, and then short shift on the gears on the way out there to really try and keep that traction nice and smooth as we end sector 2 and now kick off my favorite sector of the racetrack, sector number 3. First of all, a 90-degree right. I get it a bit wrong, run it a bit too hot there, and lose about 2.5 tenths, unfortunately. But we then feed the car into the S section here, left, left again. It's just such an incredible sequence of corners, and it's all about hooking it up and getting the right line as we now make our way to the final corner here. The left-hander, second gear, pick up the apex, and then quickly back on the gas as we now make our way through this short little left-hand kink, and then across the start finish. We brush the wall on the entry and the exit, lose even more time, and we only improved by 2.5 tenths of a second, and it could have been so much more, to be honest with you. The first sector was great. You can see on the sector times, the first sector is right on the money, but sectors 2 and 3 are not that great, and we're currently only P6 out of only 8 people that have done laps so far, so we're a long way off the pace. Now, I went for another banzai attempt, and I cut the corner just a bit too much there through the second part of the chicane, where I knew there was some time to find. Eventually, though, I kept on pushing because I wanted to see how much time I left on the table, and you can see now as we cut towards the end of the lap, we're 3.5 tenths up as we now make our way into the final few corners here, and we keep finding even more time, and eventually we pretty much went nearly half a second quicker. So all in all, looking at the qualifying results, we finished P6 and the last of the soft tyre runners, which is not ideal. We've then got 4 cars on mediums, and then the rest of the qualifiers opting to not set a tyre, I'm guessing to get the free tyre choice and go for a bit of a different strategy. So all in all, if we look at the gaps, had I actually set my optimal lap, which was about half a second quicker, maybe a bit more than that, then we should have easily got P3, you know, very easily indeed. Having said that, Alessio Di Capua, P1, he was unstoppable. His pace was ridiculous. At 31.9, that is an alien lap time and something that we will never be able to beat. So fair play to him, but in terms of our race, we should have got P3. We didn't fully optimize it, but I still feel confident we've got some good pace and a good race car underneath us. So with that said, we're now going to move into the race and hopefully we can try and turn this around. So here we go then for the start of the race. First of all, looking at the strategy, we're going to try and go for a couple of different options. So to be fair, there's 3 ways we can go here. There's a soft, medium, soft. There is a soft to hard, and also a soft to medium as well. So 3 different options. So we'll kind of decide what the best one is for us. It depends how the race goes, how well I am or how bad I am on my tyre wear and tyre temperatures, and also fuel consumption and all those other things around me. If we get taken out, then the strategy is going to change. So a few different options, nothing's really set in stone. So it's going to make it for quite an interesting and unpredictable race. So here we are then, coming towards the end of the formation lap. Tyres perfectly in the correct temperature window. I managed to give myself a bit of a gap to the cars ahead, so I'm hoping that will allow the cars ahead to, their tyres to slightly cool a little bit and might be hopefully in the right window. So we've got all the medium tyre runners behind us, so the target is to go forward hopefully and not backwards as we get ready for the 5 red lights here at Vietnam, and it's going to be lights out and away we go for the 3rd round of the AOR season, down towards turn number 1. We're going to try and go to the outside line here as there's plenty of room, and easy does it through there through the first corner, and we actually went a bit hot on the brakes. We get squeezed off there as we are 3 wide, and that allows Paris, I believe in the Haas, to have a bit of a look around the outside into turn 3. We've got to be careful, a bit of contact as well as we get loose, and Paris gets by there for now. We've got Warren behind us as well, looking pretty racy in the other Haas, and I've just got to try and survive at the minute as we've lost the place, and worst case scenario, getting stuck behind someone on a slower tyre than me, which is not what I wanted, and it's all about trying to recover now. Kind of, stay composed, stay calm, and try and make that recovery. So straight away we got to work, and I tried to have a look in this back straight, but I quickly realised it was pointless because everyone was in the slipstream, so there was literally no benefit to using overtake whatsoever. The slipstream was just so powerful, but eventually towards the end of the lap the soft tyre started to show its benefit, and we get very, very close there. We almost went to the back of Paris. Meanwhile, up ahead, the Red Bull, I believe, from Michael Tanidza, running a bit wide there, and he's battling with Filipic up the road. But this is it now. Here we go. We've got the run on Paris here, and we're going to try and go for it down the inside into the first corner, trying to leave some room, of course. There is a slight bit of contact there as we try to give some room. We're going to have to go around the outside and return the favour and do the move that Paris did to us on lap 1. And there we go. Lovely stuff as we return the favour and we go back up to P6 and we get ahead of the medium tyre running Haas driver. Eventually, later on that lap, just a couple of corners later, Filipic making a move on the man who started from P3, Michael Tonitza, in the Red Bull. And we're just going to kind of sit from afar and watch this because there might be an opportunity for us to pick something up here out of the hairpin. Looks like the Williams will just about edge it though and get ahead of Tonitza for now. And then the very next lap, the Williams actually started to pull away. So I thought to myself, you know what, we need to make this move. And Tonitza makes a big mistake there, cutting across the chicane with a lockup, and that's going to put him pretty vulnerable, to be fair. And I'm going to be right on his gearbox as we now make our way onto the back straight. And straight away you can see I'm trying to be tactical with the ERS because it's very, very hard to save the ERS around here. The consumption is very high, so I was only using it when I absolutely had to use it, as there's a bit of contact. We tried to go through on the inside. It's a bit of a late defensive move from Tonitza there. I wasn't quite sure if he was just making his car a bit wide or what, but we managed to go through in the end anyway, down the inside at the hairpin. But luckily for us, no wing damage and also minimal ERS used, which is really, really important, as now at the end of lap number 5 we're starting to put some pressure on Filipic. So at this point now, I feel like I've got good pace and I can definitely push forward. The leaders are not that far away. Even, Alessio Di Capua and VSR Kevin, who were a lot quicker in qualifying, don't seem to have that same advantage in the race. So I was feeling a lot more confident about my pace, and you can see here now all over the back of Filipic here, both of us on the soft tyres, and it seems like he might be struggling just a bit more than me on that rubber, and I was starting to feel confident of my chances. And eventually you can see here on lap 6, again, I'm not using any overtake. I'm trying to leave it until the last moment, and only now I'm going to try and use a little bit to see if we can get the move here. And we go down the inside into the hairpin. Again, a minimal ERS used, which is good because it's so important in this track to have ERS stored up because it's so hard to save. So very good racecraft, and just timing, really. That's what it's all about, timing your ERS consumption. That's going to make a big difference. And we move up to P4, Scrippy 2.5 up the road, and a couple laps later we managed to get the gap down to 2.1, and I knew I was quicker than him. We had better pace now. Gap is almost 2 seconds, and we've just generally got a bit more stronger race pace. But actually Scrippy pits along with VSR Kevin and also Alessio Di Capua and Filipic. So all the guys on the soft tyres, besides Michael Tonitza, who I've not seen now, all the soft tyre runners actually pit, which was their scheduled pit stop lap. I looked at my tyre wear and my pace, and I thought to myself, you know what, I think we could go a bit longer here. I think we've got a chance to extend the stint and do something different and maybe go for a 1-stop, because it feels like everyone who pit already is going for maybe a 2-stop. So we go a bit longer, eventually onto lap 10, and you can see behind us Paris 2.7 behind, and we've got still a pretty healthy gap. Eventually Andy, or Andinator, overtook him now, and he's the man in second place. Warren also overtook him as well, and keep your eyes on Andy because he's 3 seconds behind us, and you can see at the end of the next lap he's now 1.8, so he was really quick, and I was starting to hit the cliff now, 2 seconds off my personal best, and you know, the rubber was starting to get very thin, but we made it. We stretched out the stint far enough, and now on lap 12 we're actually going to box for a set of the medium tyres and go for the 1-stopper on the softer compounder tyres, which is great. So we avoid the hard tyres altogether. The mediums will be a lot more competitive, and it should give us a stronger chance of hopefully having a strong race. So here we go, we're boxing from the race lead, as Andy now is going to take the top spot in this race on those mediums, and also Warren as well. I feel like we're racing those guys in this race. Meanwhile, you can see Alessio, Kevin, Scrippy, Filipic, all those guys going by as well. So you can see how much we've actually lost in that overcut, because by going 4 laps longer on those really worn out soft tyres, the guys that were racing with us, they've pulled out nearly 10 seconds worth of gap. So we've got work to do here. So as we leave the pit exit, we're going to get a much more updated delta to the guys ahead. So it looks like we're about 8 seconds behind Filipic, who of course we was ahead of before the pit stop. So that's how much we've lost in about 4 laps extra. So eventually we had to get to work. Now Alessio Di Capua was in the pit lane lap 13, apparently due to wing damage. So automatically that takes the net race leader out of the equation, as he has to stop again as we set a purple 3rd sector. And moving on to lap 14, we was on for a personal best here, and yet another purple final sector. You can see the gap to Filipic up ahead down to 5.6 seconds, and we was absolutely flying on these medium tyres. And of course we are going to the finish here, so this is very important. As you can see now on lap 15, there are guys on medium tyres starting to make their pit stop. So we've got Kimmy's in there, Paris, and that's going to give us P7 in this race as we continue to chase the cars ahead. We've got Kevin and Filipic about 4.5 seconds up the road, and on lap 16 we've got more guys on the medium tyres in the pit lane, and at this time it's Andy and Warren who are the 2 guys who are staying out there, but they've gone for the soft compound tyres. So let's see what the gap is now once we get everything up to date, because they're going to be so quick on those soft compound tyres. It's going to be pretty tricky as Paris retires from the race. So let's see when they're going to rejoin, because I'm curious to see what the gap is. It's going to be 6.67 more or less, so just under 7 seconds. And you can see already by the end of the lap the gap was down to 5.8 as we're catching up to Brownie here in the Red Bull, and he is going to pit for his one and only stop of the race. So that is going to give us P4 in this race, unless there's more cars in the pit lane, which we'll find out very shortly. Looks like we're going to be P4 for now. Yes, we are. So you can see we're 1.7 behind Filipic now, and he's behind Kevin. So if we can get past both of these guys, then we're looking pretty good. Kevin actually on the hard tyre, so he's going to the end on the 1-stop. And you can see Filipic actually got ahead of him, and now we're chasing down VSR Kevin as Andy sets a new fastest lap, a couple of seconds quicker than me, to be fair. And him and Warren were so quick. But eventually, Filipic actually pits. He was, of course, doing a 2-stop strategy, and so is Scrippy. So suddenly, of course, with Alessio out the picture and Kevin going for the 1-stopper, if we get past Kevin, we're going to be in the net race lead of this Grand Prix. So the 1-stop, soft to medium, working out beautifully for us as we're now putting some big pressure on Kevin, but also from behind, Andy is very close. We get a bit loose through there, and that gives Andy the encouragement to go for a bit of a risky dive into that hairpin. I told him after the race that was a bit of a risky move considering he had fresh soft tyres, and we managed to keep him behind for now. And you can see Kevin locking up. I'm trying to put him under some big pressure here, and this was my chance. If I can get past Kevin now and put Kevin between myself and Andy, that would be great. But unfortunately, it wasn't going to work out that way, because Andy was a lot closer to me than I was to Kevin, and I'm also running on minimal ERS. You can see in the bottom right, only 13% left, and here comes Andy in the Mercedes. I'm trying to defend and attack at the same time. We go to the inside, and then because I'm focused on defending, I completely misjudge my brake point, and I have to cut the chicane to avoid hitting Kevin with a T-bone, and we lose P2, P3 and P4 now is where we are in this race. So unfortunately, an offensive move in a way turned out really badly for us. Now, I got a 3-second time penalty but don't read into it too much because that will be removed if I need to have it removed after the race, because the penalty was for cutting the corner, which isn't fair, and we haven't got to worry about that too much because I can get that removed. But then eventually in lap 25, I caught back up to Kevin, and there was some lag for him, it seems like, and he drops 2.5 seconds behind us, so we don't even have to make the overtake, and suddenly it's so much more easier for us, and we get P3. So in the end, even with that spin, we're still P3 in this race. I think I could have been ahead of Warren. At the minute, I can tell you, the gap is 4.2 seconds. Warren has a 3-second time penalty heading onto the last lap, and we've got, of course, we can get our penalty removed. So if I can get this gap within 3 seconds on this lap, then we may just get P2. The gap is 4.1, so we need a huge final lap here in this race. And to be fair, I gave it absolutely everything I had on this last lap. Every single last bit of fuel in the RS that I had left, I used it, and we got the gap down to 3.4 as Andy's going to pick up the win here today. And across the line, we got the gap down to 3.2, but it wasn't enough. So unfortunately, even if we got the penalty removed, we'd still finish P3 anyway. So in the end, not too bad, and a decent way to end the race. Considering the incident, we should have probably got second, maybe even battled for the race win, because those soft tyres would have gone off on those guys. But having said that, it's my first podium of the season, and it's good. The new technique, the new way I approach this race, instead of using my setups, seem to work quite well. And we finish in 3rd place and not too far off the lead. So hopefully in the next race we can take a step forward in China and do one better and get second, or maybe even the race win. But either way, here are the final race results, and it's Andinator with the win ahead of Warren and myself. Kevin finishes P4, Di Capua on the recovery after a wing damage finishes P5 ahead of Scrippy, Brownie, and then I believe Maxi is Filipic ahead of Kimiz, and Jan Fehler, who finishes P10. Tonidza at the points along with Paris, who retired, and also Camille, I believe, who didn't, I think he retired as well very early on in the race, and Fehler picking up the fast lap of the Grand Prix here today in this race. With that said though, we move to the Drivers' Championship, and you can see Camille has had, I think, his first DNF of the season. So with that, it means the championship has actually opened up a little bit. So we've got Andy now in 2nd place with that race win, Paris 3rd, and Alessio P4, Warren P5, and we are in 6th place in the championship. And to be fair, the last 2 races have been a lot better than Australia, which was only 1 point for us, and we're well and truly in the mix. There's a big battle there from Scrippy on 14 points all the way up to pretty much Paris on 33, so it's going to be exciting. But we are definitely in the mix. If we can get another podium, that will just start to help us separate ourselves from the pack and push us slightly further forward as we look at the Constructors' Championship. And we are in 6th place. So again, it's only me at the moment. My teammate FK Gaming, unfortunately, is recovering from 2 broken arms. So yeah, for now it's going to be just me putting in the points, but we still gain a couple of places this weekend and move up to 6th place. So doing a good job, but hopefully my teammate comes back soon and we can try and fight for the Constructors' Championship. But guys, that is going to be it for the race and this episode here today at Vietnam. If you guys enjoyed it, drop a like on the video, subscribe if you are new for daily F1 content and weekly league racing content on the channel. Also check out the 2 videos on your screen right now if you have missed them. But guys, thank you for the support, and I'll see you all next time for the next race in China. But until then, take care, and it's goodbye from me.